Good morning, my dearest educators. It's been a privilege to hear the key people right before I spoke, and I would like to begin with a story as well. This is a story of a girl who, when was in the 7th grade, we started with the ecosystem of Robotics India in that school. And her mother still, and at the time, was working at Noble Hospital. And her mother would come back and talk to her about a common problem, which was segregation of the dirty hospital waste and how people had to use their hands to segregate the waste, and no one likes to do the dirty work. When she progressed to her 8th grade, and obviously she learned robotics, coding, IoT, AI, she engineered a robot that would clean the waste, segregate the waste, so people wouldn't have to do it themselves. Now that girl went on to represent this prototype at the Robotics National Championship. She won one of the first 2 podium positions there. And then the chance came to represent India at the Robotics International. And she said, if I speak in Hindi, I will be disqualified at the Robotics International. And we said, no, there are children from China who have a translator and they speak Mandarin. And there were children from other parts of the world, 70 plus countries is what the participants were from. She went on to deliver her presentation in Hindi and featured in the top 10 podium positions at the Robotics International Championship 3 years ago. What comes next was even more interesting. She represented her school at the G20 Championship. She met the Honorable Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhanji because she showcased the prototype. She passed her 10th grade, and then we got her to apply for the Ernst & Young Scholarship. She received a fully funded tuition from Ernst & Young, not for her 11th and 12th, but also for her engineering. And now the cherry on the top is this prototype was showcased at the Noble Hospital. And I met her just 2 weeks ago, and when she was describing the story to the press again, she was in tears. She said, 2 years ago, when I walked into the Noble Hospital where my mother works, and I presented this prototype of a waste segregator that I made, the Noble Hospital owners have now incubated this, and this is a live working prototype at the Noble Hospital. Now that is the power of technology when we combine it with studies. So I see a lot of people talking about the curriculum, the school curriculum, which is great. Teachers burnt out with pedagogy, assessment, I get that. And then earlier this morning, we had Pavanji come up here and speak. Can anyone tell me what is the one greatest skill that he highlighted, which is also given by World Economic Forum? Can anyone say that? Sorry? Yes, and that falls under a larger umbrella. So World Economic Forum says that for your students to be employable in 2037, you need to have 2 top skills. One is technology skill, and second is life skills. And under life skills, you put your communication, cognitive thinking, critical assessment, all of that. But then when we are looking at the top 10 technology skills, we are looking at robotics, AI, coding, IoT, gamification, AR, VR. But do you want to give this as a co-curricular and an extracurricular to your students? Because they're already burdened with their studies. Do we want to make this a Byju's that said, आपको स्कूल जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. We are the new school ecosystem. You cannot defy logic ever, and the Indian school ecosystem or any school in the world is what always remains. And therefore, we need something to complement it. When you walk out, of this place today, I want you to have a deep thought about a very simple thing. 2038. I want you all to remember that here, because the first grader in your school now will graduate in 2038. And that child can have excellent 98% marks. That child can have the best of, skills when we talk about communication skills, we talk about technology skills, and he will have the greatest of curricula. But I will touch upon what comes after, when I give you the story. The story of a boy whose father had a small textile company, and the employees were suffering from respiratory problems. And the respiratory problems happened because of, a small speck that was released from the cloth. And everyone has respiratory problem in that factory of the boy. He developed an IoT system. Believe me, this child was in the 9th grade. He developed an IoT-based system to detect the dust in the air particles and installed a robotic air purifier. This child went on to patent his product and now receives 75,000 rupees a month for his patent. He's not even 18 yet. So what we are stating here is the story of the students who took this as a part of the curricula. And that's when I would like to present to you what we've created, which is Innoveda. We have an MOU with NCERT, which means this can be a part of your curriculum. It's across all the K-12 boards. So we say, if your child is in grade 2, wants to learn math, chapter 5, ascending, descending numbers, we are going to give the student motors, capacitors, sensors to learn ascending, descending numbers. Are we going to overburden the teacher? No. We have a tie-up with Microsoft. We would love to train the teachers on artificial intelligence certification course within year 1. Do we burden the teachers with, extra pedagogy, extra classes? No, this becomes a part of your curriculum. The example that I gave you of math, we've blended this within science as well. Rainwater harvesting can be gone outside and studied versus studying it in the classroom. The concept remains, the subject remains, the grade remains. What changes is hands-on experiential learning, because the 2 examples that I gave you, and I have 1.5 million, we've impacted 1.5 million students across 15 plus states, and we work with 1,500 plus schools. And that is the power of building and learning versus rote learning. And I have someone with me today who's come here from Estonia. Estonia is a country in Europe. The population of Estonia is 1.2 million, which must be, population of perhaps just Pune camp. And India is 1.5 billion. But you know what makes that country absolutely stand out from the others is Estonia has the largest number of unicorns and startups per capita. Believe me, I have seen a 4-year-old code, and I have seen a 6-year-old make a robot. And those are the entrepreneurs that we want to create in India. We want to give the children of today a means to say that here is the problem, and here is how you solve it, not give the solution to the problem. So everyone here, this is Robotics India and STL together presenting Innoveda, which is not, like I said, it's not an extracurricular, it's not a co-curricular. We blend it with the subjects because we want to create future entrepreneurs. And before I call Nelly on stage, very quickly, I would like to say that wherever we meet the head of admissions of the Ivy League colleges outside of India, the best IIM, IITs within the India, there's one question that they ask us. 98% marks is great. Where is the portfolio of your student? Has the student ever participated in a hackathon? Do they know what cybersecurity is? Do they know, artificial intelligence in implementation? And that's when we said, let's tie up with NASA, bring space tech to grade 1 to grade 12, University of Helsinki for artificial intelligence, robotics, University of Seoul for IoT, and we club that all together, and your student from grade 1 to grade 12 collects 12 certificates with the stamps of these organizations. Anelli, I would love to have you on stage and give them a little perspective of what's happening in Europe at the moment.
Good morning, distinct guests, respected educators, school leaders, industry partners, and also dear students. It's a truly pleasure to be here today and to witness the growing momentums towards preparing the young learners for the future. We talk about the future of education. We often ask ourselves, what skills today children need to drive in tomorrow's world? The answer is becoming increasingly clear. Technical knowledge alone is no longer enough. We need to equip students with the ability to think critically, solve problems creatively, collaborate effectively, and adapt technologies that are evolving every day. This is exactly why programs like Innoveda are so important. Innoveda brings together 8 essential domains that are defined future of learning: artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, coding, augmented and virtual reality, gamification, design thinking, and technology. These are not isolated subjects. They are interconnected disciplines that encourage students to explore, experiment, innovate, and create. Across Europe, we have seen tremendous impact of introducing these skills early age. In many schools, children begin exploring these concepts from the age of 6. In the many schools, already in age of 4. At that age, students are not learning advanced programming languages or build complex robots. Instead, they are developing curiosity. They learn through play, exploration, storytelling, building, experimenting, and asking questions. These experiences become the foundation upon which lifelong learning is built. What makes this approach so meaningful is this shifts education from memorizing information and experiencing learning. Time's up. When we look countries like Estonia and Finland, we often admire our education system and our thriving innovation ecosystem. Despite of relatively small nations, we have become global leaders in technology, entrepreneurship, and digital transforming. Our countries consistently produce world-class startups and impressive numbers of unicorn companies.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening, and have a good day. Thank you.